Welcome in here to the Friday Shoot-Around. I am Ryan Gilbert. He is Clent Stewart. Kansas State coming off of a nice, impressive road victory at LSU. We'll be diving into that and looking ahead at Kansas State's game against Nebraska on Sunday. Here on the Shoot-Around, like I said, former Wildcat Clent Stewart breaking down really a good win for Kansas State, given everything that has kind of transpired off the court with Naquan Tomlin. Certainly there was some reasons to be concerned with this team's focus heading into that game, but K-State was locked in and really executed a solid game plan from the staff. So we'll break that down here. But first, we're sponsored by Booth Creek Wagyu. Remember to elevate your tailgate this season with our friends from Booth Creek Wagyu. Their ranch is located just north of Manhattan and proudly raises authentic Wagyu beef from farm to table. Visit their retail locations in Manhattan and Overland Park or online at boothcreekwagyu.com. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure you're subscribing, liking, commenting, all that stuff. And Go PowerCat has a 60% off sale right now. Be sure you're taking advantage of that. It's a great time to be a K-State fan, despite everything going on. There's never been a better time to be subscribing at Go PowerCat. But Clint, I guess me and you were texting on Saturday after that game against LSU that, this was one of the best, maybe the best wins for the season for Kansas State. I know you can look at that Providence game and maybe from start to finish, the consistency of that win was great. But in terms of the focus, like I said, this was just so great to see K-State be victorious over LSU on Saturday.
Yeah, it definitely was. And I got to start by saying you mentioned the 60% off for Go PowerCat. So 60%, that might have been my free throw percentage, which isn't good. But for discount, that's a really good percentage off. So
David Gasson on Saturday was a little bit lower than that. I think he was 1 for 6, 0 for 6.
Yeah, he struggled. He struggled a little bit. I think 0 for 6. So, but yeah, it was a good win. It was a good win for the team. I think anytime you go on the road, and it's really our first true road win, and so going on the road against another Power 5 conference team. And able to do what we did, also just considering kind of some of the circumstances that were surrounding Naquan, right before that game. And, for the guys to really just band together, travel down there and make sure they were locked in and focused on figuring out a way to go win. You really have to give your hats off to Coach Tang and the coaching staff for just making sure the guys were ready to play, and they came out straight from the jump and from the tip, ready to play. And so that was really good. It was an exciting game to watch, fun one to watch. Thought we got after it defensively, especially early, caused some turnovers early on LSU, which allowed us to get out and build a lead. So even when they were able to fight back a little bit, we had enough of a cushion to withstand their run in the second half and be able to finish out with the win. So it was a good one all around.
Arthur Kaluma, Big 12 Player of the Week. Since Jerome Tang challenged him to buy in, he just continues to be a tremendous player for Kansas State.
He really has. I think he also won a National Player of the Week award as well this week. And, he's everything that, I'm sure Tang saw in him and why he wanted him to be a Wildcat. And it's good to see him stepping up and making plays, obviously scoring the basketball, but rebounding as well. And, even playing some good defense. And so he's doing things that, we're going to need him to do to be able to win games in the Big 12. And hopefully he can continue the hot streak that he's on because he's playing, it might be the best basketball of his career. And so it's good to see it and hopefully he continues to elevate.
Cam Carter was going back to his home state of Louisiana and, he was cooking. He was just putting the ball through the net. And all the hype, we continue to say this, all the hype about Cam Carter coming into the year, it was all real. He's lived up to it, and he's really become a superstar on this team. And without Naquan Tomlin, this team's figuring out how to win without him. This was not something that happened suddenly. And so they're winning without him. They're having playmakers step up without one of their top scorers coming into the year.
Yeah, I think we all need to get some shirts maybe to say let Cam cook, right?
Right.
And with a picture of Cam Carter on it, cooking.
Yeah.
And so let Cam cook, and he's cooking, which is good when he's making shots. I think it's obviously just boosts our offense. We have to be able to shoot the basketball from outside. I think some of the games that we struggled, we struggled from the outside, paired with some turnovers. And so when he's making shots and you have Arthur playing the way that he is, obviously we know what Tyler Perry can do, especially down the stretch in big games. And so it's a good combination. The best thing about it is, we have multiple guys that can step up and that can lead us in scoring on any given night. And so I think that's going to really help us as we move into the Big 12 season and down the line of, makes it hard to scout us, when you say, okay, we got to stop Arthur. And then, now Perry and Cam Carter step up, or, okay, we got to stop Cam because he's been making shots. But now Arthur's back, rolling. And I'll tell you, if we get all three rolling at the same time, man, we can really make some damage in the Big 12.
No Naquan Tomlin, and then Jerrell Colbert's probably underperformed this season. Taj Manning hasn't been involved as of late. So I think we got to touch on Will McNair and the impact that he is having. And this was a late addition for this staff to bring him in. Man, Clint, where would this team be without him? And, the presence that he has in the paint, on the boards, all that stuff. I mean, if K-State doesn't have him at the center spot, I don't know where this team would be.
Yeah, and it's amazing because he's the one guy that Tang basically sat a game because he said internal disciplinary reasons, and we can all speculate what that is, but making sure that he got him focused, and hey, this is serious, and he's a big piece of our team and a big part of our team, and we need him doing the things that he can do, whether that's in practice, on and off the court, in the games, outside of the games. So it's good to see him stepping up and playing big in the middle for us, kind of being a guy that really is kind of just a blue collar guy. Let's go rebound, get some junk points for us, be strong in the paint. When you really think about the strength of our team, obviously is our guard play, and especially if you count Arthur as a guard, but you got to have big guys that are willing to do some dirty work. Otherwise, it becomes really tough to win. And so it's good to see him stepping up. And if we didn't have him, I think we would definitely fill the void, or fill that void in the middle, not having someone that's physical and has a physical presence like he does. So he's doing a fantastic job.
I wouldn't be surprised if McNair just didn't hold the door open for Tang, and he's like, all right, you're suspended for a game. But that's the type of coach that Coach Tang is, man. He's going to hold you to a high standard, and you have to applaud him for who he is, both on and off the court. McNair and Tang, all around. Just everything's the culture that Tang has created here. And I know that the stuff with Naquan Tomlin's gotten, fans in a frenzy and all that. But again, I can't stress this enough how I don't know, satisfying is probably not the right word, but you can take a breath and just sit back and relax because this team is still locked in on the task at hand of reaching the Final Four this season.
Yeah, and it's good to see that, with so many new guys and, stepping into new roles and a team trying to gel together, and we're sitting now at 8-2 and playing some really good basketball and getting some tough wins. We talked about in our last segment last week around, the 3 overtime games in a row and should we have went to overtime or not? I mean, it's tough to win, and our guys are figuring out how to win, and I think that's going to bode us well down the stretch. And so, at this point in stage, you want to rack up as many wins as you can, so then we head into the Big 12, we're feeling good about ourselves and we kind of know where we're at and what we can do. And guys are starting to fall into specific roles on the team, and I think whenever you have that, you have guys that are locked into what their role is and they're not unsure of what their role is, then the team really can excel, because everyone knows exactly what Tang wants for them, exactly what they're supposed to be doing to help the team win. They know where they're going to get their shots, when they're going to get their shots. They know how hard they have to play. Like, I'm a rebound guy. I'm a physical guy like Will McNair. Okay, this is what I need to do for us to win. And now they're seeing the success of that. It's just going to help us as we get into the Big 12. So they're locked in and focused, like I said, and hopefully we can continue to get some wins. And, man, once you get down the line, anything can happen.
Arthur Kaluma, Cam Carter, like those two guys specifically are just playing at such a high level. And so Tang has kind of talked about you don't want to peak too early in a season, and that's 100% true. You want to peak in, Big 12 play and into March Madness. And so I guess as a former coach, current coach, I should say, but, you don't want to, you want to be playing your best ball at the end of the year. So with Kaluma and Carter, and Tyler Perry as of, in his late game heroics, how do you sort of how do you pace yourself for a 4 or 5 month long season when we're still in the middle of December?
Yeah, and it's a grind, and I think that the biggest thing is you have to make sure and pray and hope that we stay injury free. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing because injuries can derail a season really quickly, especially with your top guys. And so hoping guys are taking care of their bodies, especially during the downtime that they have. That they're making sure they're in with the trainer, they're getting the ice, they're getting the stim, they're keeping their body at peak performance at the best that they can. And the times that Coach Tang is saying, hey, we need to rest, that guys actually rest. I think sometimes it's hard for younger players or players in general. They feel like they're resting. Sometimes they feel like, oh, I'm losing a step, or someone's passing me because I'm not doing something on the court. When in reality, sometimes the rest is the best thing they can get, so their body stays at peak performance. And so I think that's obviously a balance. But at the same time, we think about pacing yourself. I mean, the game starts. It's dog eat dog, and let's go win. And as a player, you have the mindset of there is no pacing. There's just going out and playing as hard as you can and trying to win the game. It might be a little bit different in the NBA, or there's a little bit more um, load management, so to
Right.
speak.
Yeah.
I think, but and at the college level, it's when you're on that court, you want to go perform. You want to go perform at a high level, and you only have 30, 32, 33, 34 games to do that, and so I know they're excited about just the opportunity each and every night.
Last season, K-State sort of went through the dog days of the Big 12 gauntlet, and Jerome Tang switched up a number of things, and one of those was practicing less. I think he noticed his guys were too tired, too exhausted, and so they toned it down in practice, let them get their rest. And then K-State obviously went on a big run to end out Big 12 play, and then we know what happened in March Madness. And so really just, people's bodies, you've got to take care of them. And yeah, you mentioned a great point, and Tang would agree with you that you got to get your rest.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, it becomes a big priority, just because the game is very it's a grind, it gets grueling, there's a lot of practices, you got to try to perform at a high level, and especially when you get in the Big 12, you might play. You might play at KU one night and then turn around and then have to go down to Baylor and play at Baylor and then
No.
turn around, come home, and you're playing. It might be OU who's obviously playing really well this year, and so you just got to make sure that your body stays fresh because you're going to be exalting a lot of energy, and it becomes even more physical, I think, once you get into the Big 12 play. And so that's going to be the number one thing you got to make sure you manage. And then, like I said, is hopefully that as you're managing that, it helps you stay injury free as well. So all the players can play at their best peak performance.
Glenn, I think I'm still going through puberty with how many times my voice is cracked on the show tonight, but I hope y'all can bear with me. Tyler Perry, we've talked about him and his sort of growth, evolving as a player, playing up against better competition, coming from an offense that played in a really slow pace. And so how do you assess where Tyler Perry is at right now and finding that consistency that he's, wanting to get for a full 40 minutes?
Yeah, I think he's still trying to figure out a few things, but I think he's in a good spot. I think he's still playing well. He's probably not shooting it, like he might want to, but I think that also means that, I think he's going to get even better, and so, he's still able to score the basketball. I think this last game he was 3 for 10, but hit 6 for 6 from the free throw line. He's making his free throws, which is really big. Had 14 points, and I'm sure by his standards, probably didn't think he played his best game. But in all reality, he played a pretty good game, and you go 3 for 10, and then he had some good looks, and you just got to, he's going to keep working on it and be ready for the next game, and he might show out and go 8 for 10, and so I think he's in a good spot. I think for him, it's just staying in the grind, continue to try to run the team, try to run the offense the way Tang wants it run, and just continue to step up when his number's called, or obviously at the end of the game, we know the ball's going to be in his hands to make a decision, and just continue to stay confident in those situations because he's proven that he can do it. And so, like I said, I think he's been good. I think he has some room that he's going to grow and he's going to get even better, which I think, is really a good spot for K-State and us to be in.
A couple of final thoughts from the LSU game. K-State was really dominant on the glass. Boy, it's not a good day for me. Dominant on the glass. Dominant on the glass. So I think LSU had like no offensive rebounds. Can you see how red my face is getting? This is embarrassing. I hope you're just listening on the audio version. I hope you're not watching on YouTube because this is bad. But I think LSU had no offensive rebounds in the entire first half of that game. So we give Will McNair a lot of credit. And, we mentioned David Gasson's struggles from the free throw line, and, the other guys maybe aren't stepping in. But as a whole, this team is really – you look at the one game against LSU, dominating on the glass.
Yeah, and we ended that game with 39 rebounds to their 26. When you out rebound another team by 13, typically you're going to have a good chance of winning the game. Whether that's one or two things. One, you're either getting offensive rebounds, or you're getting second chance opportunities. So you're getting more shots to score the basketball, or two, you're limiting them to one shot. And if you can play tough defense, and I think obviously Tang knows all about tough defense and preaches tough defense with our guys. And then you can limit teams to one shot, and hopefully that shot is a low percentage contested shot. Then it gives you a high chance of winning the basketball game. So, I think that was a really good defensive effort and blocking out and rebounding effort by K-State and by us this last game. And hopefully we can continue doing that as we move forward.
He is Clent Stewart. I am Ryan Gilbert. We'll be right back here after a quick break on the Friday Shoot Around. Welcome back in here to the Friday Shoot Around. I am Ryan Gilbert. He is Clent Stewart. Clint, moving forward here, Kansas State, a game against Nebraska on Sunday. One of those weird Sunday games. I don't know why they got to do that when football's on, but we'll make some sacrifices. Less about what the Huskers can bring to the table, focusing just on Kansas State. You come off of a pretty, I don't want to call it an emotional victory, but given everything with Naquan Tomlin, for them to come out and play that focused, replicating that for another 40 minutes is a challenge after the way that K-State was able to play. You've got to do that again on Sunday. What's the key to building upon that win against LSU, Clint?
Yeah, I think as a coach, you're telling the players, you got to stick to the game plan, stick to the course. You can't get too high up, too low down, no matter winning or losing. You really got to stay even kill. You got to understand that there's preparation that goes into every single game. And once you win, you can celebrate that night and feel good about yourself. But then it's on to the next one. You got to have the same type of motivation, same type of mindset, heading into the next game. So I liken it to I remember my senior year in 2008. We went and we beat KU at home, and then turned back around and I believe played Missouri, I think at Missouri, and had a big win against KU at home, and celebrated breaking the streak, and then came back and lost at Missouri the very next game. And I'm not going to say LSU is KU competition, but I definitely think you can get emotionally have an emotional high from a win like that on the road, especially just given the circumstances. You got to make sure that you refocus and you re-lock in, and you take care of business as we come home and play against Nebraska. So just make sure the guys are ready to play. And like I said, it's one game at a time. Right now, the LSU game doesn't mean anything anymore, and Nebraska is the team in front of us, and we have to prepare to go beat them at home.
K-State's staff has been out on the recruiting trail the last couple of days, 8 days between games for Kansas State. So some time off. These players, I'm sure, have gotten some valuable rest, like we mentioned. Any concerns with some rust after a long break like that?
There could be a little bit, especially as a player, you kind of get into a routine where, okay, we practice a few days play, and then anytime you get a little bit longer break, you get a little bit more antsy, and then you just kind of get out of that routine. But what you hope to see, especially with us being at home, that helps us because we're a little bit more familiar with the atmosphere, obviously the environment, that we can, break out of that rust pretty quickly within the game and really just settle in, And so I think, when you play at home in front of your home crowd, there's a lot of adrenaline going, the crowd's hype, it just gets you hype. And if we can ride on some of that early, I think that'll be good. And then just settle in and play our game, and we'll be good.
Against LSU, Michaela Rich did not play, and he didn't play in the game previous against Villanova either. So that's 2 games in a row that he has not seen the court. No reason to hit the panic button. He's not in the doghouse. He's not injured. I think it's just maybe a testament to how raw he might be still as a player. That being said, and the same thing can be kind of said for RJ Jones, whose minutes maybe aren't as high as he wants them to be. How do you stay focused? Because at some point your number is going to get called. This team's going to need you to step on the court. So how do these guys who maybe aren't getting the minutes that they think that they deserve, how do they lock in and stay focused, not only during practice throughout the week, but also during these games when they're, kind of looking over at the coach on the bench? Hey, is this, can I go check in? And how do you stay focused?
Yeah, I mean, you really have to keep your head down and just keep working, and I think as a young guy, sometimes that can be hard to understand, but you have to keep your head down, keep working, and just stay and try to stay ready, and then the only way you can stay ready is by preparing the same way as if you're going to play 40 minutes a game, and so when you're in practice, you got to be locked into the game plan, locked into, what we're trying to accomplish as a team, and locked into if your number gets called, what are the coaches asking for you to do, and so if you're not locked into that, then when your number is called, you're not ready. And if you're not ready when your number is called, then it's hard for the coaches to trust putting you on the court the next time, right? And so, I know sometimes it can be hard for a young guy to understand that, but hopefully Michaela Bridge is staying locked in, and obviously as we're winning basketball games, that's obviously good, and it's for him. It's a learning experience, man. Every single day is it's different than high school basketball. Obviously, even in practice, the tempo, the competitiveness, every single day the grind is different. And so if he can stay locked in, RJ can stay locked in and just stay ready that, hey, when my number's called, I'm ready to give everything I have. I'm ready to produce. I'm ready to step up. And then hopefully when it is called, they can go in there and do that.
With this being a regional game, Wichita State's also coming up on the schedule. I don't think Jerome Tang had control of this one. I think this was from Weber's staff, where they kind of had a home and home and a couple neutral sites scheduled in there. But overall, I mean, it's good. It's not a rivalry per se, but I mean, Clint, you played against Nebraska when they were still in the Big 12, and so you a fan of these games? I'm sure you are, to get fans more engaged and excited for your team. And I know that there's still some GA tickets up for grabs. It's probably not going to be a sellout on Sunday, but still, this is better than playing, say, North Alabama in December.
Yeah, and I love it. I mean, you're playing another Power Five conference team, and whether whether they're kind of top of their conference, middle of their conference, but to me, it doesn't matter. It's another good team, and it's a team that from a resume building perspective, obviously looks a lot better if you can get the win. You got to make sure you come in and take care of business. I love that it's at home. I think that'll obviously help us out as well. But it tells our guys, hey, we got to stay locked in. And I think it's just another stepping stone to preparing us for our conference. Like I said, this is another team that plays top competition, night in, night out when they get in their conference. And so they're going to be well coached. They're going to be ready to play. They're going to have a good game plan. And we're going to have to go in and we're going to have to execute ours and then go in and win the basketball game. So I love it. I love that it's a former Big 12 school. I think that plays into it as well. You have a former Big 12 school that we're playing against, and so it should be fun.
Did you have a favorite, not a rival like KU, but maybe one of those cooler teams that it's not a true rival, but still kind of lukewarm with the intensity and the chippiness of those games? Did you have a favorite opponent that you went up against?
Oh man, I'd say Baylor. Baylor was definitely one. Baylor always had guards. It's funny because Tang was obviously at Baylor during the time that I was playing, and but they always had guards that they came at you. Tweety Carter, Aaron Bruce. They had a left hand, Henry Duguid. They had a left-handed kid. I can't remember his name now. Tang obviously will know.
Yeah, he would know. I would think you would
they,
know, right?
Oh yeah. They had some chippiness, and they were always fun to play against. And I'd say probably the other one would be Texas A&M. During the time that I was playing, they had a kid by the name of AC Law, and he actually went on and played in the NBA for a few years as well, point guard. And man, he was a tough guard to play against, And so every time we played against them, I knew I had my hands full, and he was going to come at me. So it was a lot of fun.
I'm sure you played a good number of games in what was the Sprint Center, now the T-Mobile Center. That's where K-State's going to be playing Wichita State. I'm sure that's another one where it's not a true heated rivalry, but playing in front of a good amount of purple. This is a great opportunity for K-Staters in the KC area to get to go see K-State on a weeknight where maybe you don't get to go out to Manhattan, but hey, a 20-minute drive downtown, let's do it.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for K-State community, as you mentioned in the KC and greater metro area to come out and support them. And, I think hopefully it'll have a good crowd, and to be able to go play it's a good team and another in-state team, and so it should be fun. I'm sure, Wichita State, they have a big following as well, and have a great alumni base. And so it should be a fun game, and hopefully K-State can pull out that one.
I don't know. I think I saw something on our message boards about Naquan Tomlin. I'm pretty sure Memphis is going to play, I guess, first or second game that he can actually play in Wichita against Wichita State. So if you're in the Wichita area, that'd be a lot of fun. But back to these regional games, what's the value? Is there, from a recruiting standpoint, not just getting fans involved, but what's the value in playing these games?
Yeah, I think these regional games, give you an opportunity to really get out and have the opportunity for fans to come out and support the team, which is really good. I think it gives you, an opportunity where you're hopefully, whether you're at home or closer to home. I think it's really good as well, just because that support and be able to really push out our brand, to local areas, which is really good. And then anytime you're playing these regional games against, good competition, I think it helps, fans just get more excited about K-State, about the K-State brand, about, obviously the basketball program and what Tang is doing. And so it's good all around, and I think the biggest thing though is, everyone likes to win. And so you want to make sure you go in with the right mindset, that we're locked in and ready to go play and ready to go win, because it's a much funner night, for all of our fans and all of our community when we win than it is when we don't win. And so, hopefully we're all locked into that as well.
I feel like we should make this a regular question towards the end of a show, based off of what we saw against LSU. And did we talk about Villanova? I think we already, that was the previous show. But so just LSU, where does K-State need to improve on in these next two games? What would you like to see them just do better?
Yeah, I still, I've been kind of harping on some of the turnovers, and I know we want to play fast, so they're going to expect to have some turnovers, but we just can't have the lackadaisical ones, or the ones that put the other team and into immediate transition. I think as we've seen, when our defense is set, I think we can be a pretty good defensive team, and so the more opportunities that we have to get our defense set, and get our defense in front of their offense. And then if we can limit them to one shot like we did against LSU, then we're going to have a great chance of winning basketball games. And so, but we got to take care of the basketball, and just got to make sure that we're getting opportunities at the rim, shooting the basketball, and it allows our big guys to, hopefully get some offensive rebounds and second chance points for us. So that's always big. I try to, sometimes it's, don't overthink, and sometimes I'd rather you shoot it than lose it, so shoot it. That gives us an opportunity. That gives us an opportunity to go get it and put it back in, versus losing it and puts the other team in transition. So, hopefully we can continue to try to work on limiting our turnovers.
This team has been very aggressive, and you look at, RJ Jones. Is there maybe something that he could do better? That would probably be just play a little more calm, let the game come to you. But you'd take that, right? You don't want it to be the opposite. Like, I love Dean Wade, think the world of him. Ultimately, at K-State, what held him back in my mind was he was never aggressive enough, and he was probably too passive and passed the ball too much, didn't take the open shots, didn't assert himself. And so, these turnovers and stuff, I get it. It is frustrating when they make those mistakes, but it's better than the opposite.
Yeah, and like, as I think we mentioned in our last show, it's easier to slow a team down. It's easier to back off some aggression than it is to like get someone to go fake it till you make it type of aggression, right? I mean, it's like, and so I'd much rather have someone that's a little bit more aggressive, and then we tone that down, versus the other way around, and RJ specifically, for RJ, as I just kind of think about, where he's been over the last few games, and like, as you mentioned, maybe he's not getting the minutes that he might want to get, or, for him, I think he has to stay locked in. And the biggest thing that players, we know he can shoot the basketball. The biggest thing that players can do to get on the floor is come out in the game and show that you can defend. And if you come out of the game and you show that intensity and you show that focus, not locked into the scouting report and the game plan of defending and being active and making plays, getting stops, I guarantee you there's no coach in America, whether it's Tang or whether it's the Self or whether it's whoever, you
Or
can
it's
name
Clent
it.
Stewart.
Exactly. You can name it. That's going to say, hey, I don't want a guy that can defend, and so hopefully RJ is a guy that he can lock in on that side of the ball, and that's somewhere where he can try to just continue to get better at it. And like I said, hopefully that'll bode him well down the stretch, and even allow him to get some more minutes on the court.
Final thought here, Clint. The new 5-out offense. I know we've talked about this in previous shows. I think it's been a week or two since we've really addressed it. People got to remember there's a lot of moving parts here with new players and stuff, but also this team is learning a new offensive scheme, and so. How do you assess the way that, I guess not assess, but is the new offense, is the new 5-out system, is this team comfortable with it 100%? Or do you think that's just another thing that maybe is 99% there, but can still get, more comfortable in?
Yeah, I think they're growing into it, and I think what we're seeing is the spacing is allowing Arthur specifically to
Yep.
drive the basketball and get to the rim. The spacing is allowing Cam to get some open shots. The spacing is allowing Tyler to create a little bit. And so I think that's been really good, especially when you think about kind of the makeup of our team. We really don't have, we don't have a Zach Edey, from Purdue, where he said, hey, we need you down the block and just throw it inside and go get 20, 30 points, right? And so a little bit different. When I played, I had a chance to play with Michael Beasley. It was like, hey, Bees, go to that block, man. That's a bucket every day, all day, and so I think the spacing of it fits our team really well and allows our guards to be a little bit creative, allows our guards to come off handoff action, ball screen action, and get downhill, penetration to kick or penetration, get to the rim, allows our bigs now at times to get kind of a running start as they're getting to the rim to try to go get offensive rebounds versus, already kind of being on the block and their big is already there, tussling with them. And so now they get a little bit of a running start where they might be able to swim move and get around and go grab it, or it's a little bit harder to block them out. So I think we're still growing in it, but I think we've seen some progress, and I think it's been successful so far.
Okay, real quick. You mentioned Arthur Kaluma driving to the basket. Obviously, he's very effective doing that, but I tweeted this out during the LSU game after he hit some of those shots from deep. I mean, the pump fake, man, he needs to shoot it more. Am I wrong? He's always pump faking. I'm like, man, just pull the trigger.
I think he has a little bit of Kobe Bryant in him and some of the pump fakes and shots. I think against Villanova, I think it was, he hit like a fadeaway. And I was just like, wow, like that's a big time shot. And so I can't even do that against fifth graders right now, So, he gets going, man. And like I said, we need him to stay aggressive always, and trying to go downhill and create for himself. And then the way he's shooting the ball from the outside, I mean, that just helps him even more, and it opens it up even more for him to drive the basketball and get inside. So, man, he's playing tremendous.
Clint, that'll wrap it up for us. Nebraska coming up on Sunday at 2:00, and then Wichita State on Thursday at 7:30 in Kansas City. Look forward to breaking down these games. Hopefully we're breaking down wins, but if not, we can break down what went wrong for Kansas State in those losses. So, Clint, as always, man, appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week here on the Friday Shoot Around.